What up, YouTube? You know, I gotta get on here and get comfy. Let's see. Before I record. You feel me? Boy, these pants. These are like some old pants that I had. And that button. You ever had them pants that you love so much and you just don't want to give them up, even if you gain a little pound? That's how I feel about these pants that I got on right now. Woo! Okay. Mic is working. Headphones is working. I figured out why they haven't been working the past few days. Past few times we recorded. The battery died. I tell y'all, it be the simplest thing sometimes. I'm super excited to get into the pod. All right. Hope you guys are following our Instagram. It's on and popping. You do some recaps, some snippets of the show. So hopefully you guys are subscribing on YouTube, but as well as checking out our Instagram as well. I check Instagram daily, and so you can find me on there if you need a response or have a question or any inquiries about the Crew Book Club, or you can email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com. And please subscribe, share, tell a friend, but also go on iHeart, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts to leave a review. That will be showing some crew love for sure. So yeah. Phone is on silent. Volume is turned down. I am ready to go. Ready to go. Ready. All right. Outline. Get all that. I still get nervous before I hit the record button, y'all. So don't mind me, okay? Oh, breathe. Everything's gonna be good. I'm super excited about this. I feel like there is a word when I was reading over what I highlighted. There was a word that I think I forgot how to pronounce. Yes, there's words that I still mess up. And sometimes it'd be the easiest word. Sometimes I'm sitting there like, wait, how do you spell the? It's so funny. But I can't think of the word. So we're just gonna pray and have faith that when the word comes up, that I can properly pronounce it. Okay? That's what we're gonna do. All right. Book is laid out. I feel like I be hitting something on that the last episode. Anyway, let's get into it. What up, crew? What's good? Hey, let's get into another episode of the Crew Book Club podcast. I am feeling amazing. I am feeling confirmed. I am feeling ambitious, overly ambitious. I am feeling like I'm just feeling good. I feel like I'm killing it this week. Last week, I'm not gonna lie, it was just kind of like mellow, very mellow, not overly this and not overly that. But today I listened to a sermon by Stephen Furtick called No Weapon. And I was just like, oh, yes, confirmation. So, and it's funny because I was reading a book yesterday about using the tools that we have and everything like that. And that's also mentioned in this book in a later chapter, so we'll go over that. But that Stephen Furtick No Weapon sermon, I listened to it on the Apple Podcast. You can find it on there. You can YouTube it. Very popular pastor in North Carolina. So yeah, check that out if you need a hallelujah moment. So yeah, that was super dope. Hold on, I just got a notification. Anyway, so first, back it up, whoop whoop. How are you really feeling today? How are you feeling? And keep it real with yourself, because like I always say, if you can't keep it real with yourself, who you gonna keep it real with, boo? Okay, so let's keep it real with ourselves. If you're not feeling woohoo about today, the week, a life, or whatnot, cool. Thanks for tuning in to the Crew Book Podcast. Hopefully, I can uplift your spirits and encourage you that it's gonna be all right. All right. And if I got to give you the scripture of the week to get us going, get us inspired, get us encouraged. And, it was Wednesday the 2nd, I think. And I was in this state of mind like, what is going to happen in my real estate career? Y'all, the market is unbelievable. It's already a lot being an entrepreneur, but limited properties for sale. I mean, I have buyers pre-approved, but it's nothing really out here in these streets. So it's really tough. And sometimes I just don't, in entrepreneurship, you just don't, a lot of times may not know where your next check is coming from. And doing the podcast, I purposely do this for the love of it. Yes. Do I want it to monetize and grow? Of course, right? Because we want to be doing the things, we want to live our life and produce doing the things that we love, right? So of course I want this to grow and make money, right? But the main purpose is me being here for you. And I love this and the state that it's in this growing state. And I look at my statistics and I see the numbers and the people that it's reaching. And I'm like, yes. And then I get confirmation from my friends and family like, girl, I'm enjoying your pod. And it's like, okay, that's what's up. So thank you guys for sharing Crew Love. Of course, I would love for you to leave a review as well on the pod to show me some love there and following us on Instagram. But yeah, I was just in this state of mind like, okay, what's going to happen next in this market? And I had to realize not to get caught up in what's going on in the world and just trust and believe that God got my back like he always has. Gas prices, yes, they're high, but I survived high gas prices and people are like, well, it's the highest it's ever been. Okay, cool. But I'm relying on God to guide us. And that's what I'm going to put my faith and trust and believe. I'm not going to waste energy on what's going on in society. And I'm not saying that I don't care about what's going on in society, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to be a warrior. I'm going to pray about it. I'm going to give it to God and ask for God to guide me and how I can contribute to society and make it better. And I honestly feel like doing this podcast is just that. So you might not be world renowned known yet, but your family, your friends, your kids, your coworkers, the people that are around you are watching you. And just know, if you can be that better person that they get motivated by, be just that. That's the start. Because if you can't take care of where you're at right now, what makes you think God gonna put you on a global platform and what you gonna do with that? So take care and do what you can do now in this present moment, and then continue to work that to go on. Okay? And to build on. So I know that was a lot, but I felt like that was necessary to say. So let's go ahead in. Who gonna check me, boo? And God is always checking us. And this is where I got checked when I was feeling in that state of mind of what's going to happen. Oh my God, worry starts to creep in. And then you know what? I opened up our Believe Bigger journal by Marshawn Evan Daniels. And on day 51, it's about self-doubt. No kidding, y'all. I was feeling that. And in that day, I opened up this journal. And the scripture was from Proverbs 14:1. It says, "The wise woman builds her house, but with her own hands, the foolish one tears them down." And one of the main sentences that stuck out to me was, doubting yourself is really doubting God. To believe bigger means to believe that you're worthy, wonderful, and ready. Like, I was like, ooh, God knows the opportune time to expose you to when you need to be exposed to something. Mind you, I got this journal probably like 2 years ago from a friend, but it was not until this year that God told me to open it and read it. I mean, he was tugging at me. So I'm telling you, this journal has been hitting these points and really checking me. So yeah, I had checked myself in that moment. Okay, I said, girl, stop doubting yourself. You got this. Keep doing what you're doing and push forward. The question that was prompted on day 51 in the journal is, what areas do you doubt God will use you, bless you, heal you, restore you, shift you, or come through for you? Yes, so I was having that moment in real estate. I don't know what that moment is for you, but let's not doubt ourselves, because we don't doubt God. We're going to believe bigger, and we know that we are worthy, wonderful, and ready. And the prayer was, Lord, remove double-mindedness from me. Take my negative thoughts captive and replace them with fearless focus and faith. Woohoo! Yes, that's what we're going to do, y'all. So when that doubt and worry starts to creep in, we're going to stop that double-mindedness. We're going to take those negative thoughts captive, and we're going to replace them with fearless focus and faith. Okay, so that was who gonna check me, boo? God is. Yes, I love getting checked in those moments. It keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me going, and it builds my faith. That's why it's so important to get into your word and get in the presence of God. Okay, now let's get into our book. We are diving into chapter 3 and 4 of Woman Evolve by Sarah Jakes Roberts. Y'all, that's all I can say. It's like I have no words on how much this book has me hooting and hollering, crying, everything. And I'm not crying like sadness and pity. It's more so like, yes, God, I feel you. Sis, I hear God speaking through you to me. I am so connected to this book. It's blowing my freaking mind. Okay, so chapter 3 is titled Eyes Wide Shut, and chapter 4 is A War of Seed. Okay, so let's get into chapter 3. And just off rip, the first paragraph, it states, closing your eyes often seems like the only way we can possibly survive the big and scary. Doesn't it, y'all? And she gives an example of being in a scary movie where you might hear the music and you know the scary part is about to show up, so we close our eyes, right? And we seem like that's the only way we can survive the big and scary. But in actuality, when we close our eyes to what scares us in life, we miss the opportunity to live fearlessly. Avoiding what scares you means that what scares you is in control of you. That was on page 36. Let me read that again. When we close our eyes to what scares us in life, we miss the opportunity to live fearlessly. Avoiding what scares you means what scares you is in control of you. Did we not talk about that just now in self-doubt in the prayer? That we're going to take our negative thoughts captive and replace them with fearless focus and faith. You know what that takes, y'all? That takes control. So let's take control, okay? This reminds me of when I'm building my business too, on how to tackle difficult tasks in the moment. I come up with excuses, I'll catch myself, and I'm like, wait, with any excuse, and I refuse to let it control me. Like, that's what prompts fear. Fear gives us excuses. Fear is excuses to me. It's like, as soon as that excuse seep in, I'm like, okay, girl, are you talking yourself out of out of something that you're just scared of? Am I choosing to close my eyes because this is a scary a scary moment? And it's like, no, let's embrace this. Let's see why I'm coming up with the excuse, and let's not entertain the excuse. Let's find a way to control it and move forward. And there's a difference, and I'm saying, like, still pray when you're making decisions, but do understand when excuses do come, just check yourself, okay? And so that takes control. If we go to page 37, in the aspect of control, we have to control certain things, right? For an example, what we consume with our eyes. If you don't know, it reads on page 37, before they ate from this tree, Adam and Eve, they had no knowledge of good and evil. All they had was their reality. And she says, God did not want humanity to have the knowledge of good and evil. God didn't want you to be able to look at your body as good or look at your failures as evil. He didn't want you to be able to look at those who hurt you or whom hurt you as evil. He didn't even want you to see those who helped you as good. He desired for us to have an existence that wasn't restricted to categories. Unfortunately, y'all, that ship has sailed, and now we're living in a world where we see too much of almost everything, i.e. social media, the news, and anything in relation to the internet. It's literally at our fingertips daily. But you know what we have control over, which is mentioned on page 39? I've learned to limit my exposure to social media so I can have space to intentionally dissect my own thoughts before being swarmed by so many different opinions. I now realize there are some pockets of the internet I must avoid at all costs for the sake of my mental, emotional, and spiritual state. Listen, me personally, y'all, I had to curate my own social media. Only post things that encourage me and my followers, you, the crew. I followed other people that inspired me, that were like-minded. I had to even unfollow some people that I was friends with, even family, because their content posted negative and gossip. And you have to curate your space. The same way we choose to curate the people that we hang around with and associate with on a daily basis, we have to do the same thing in social media. And no lie, y'all, when I go on my social media, it's all positive. It's all positive. And when I see something that may be a little negative, I see if someone posted it or whatnot. And then if I feel like it's something that is continually happening with that particular follower, I unfollow. But yes, learn not only to curate the people in your space, but curate what you visually see, entertain your eyes with daily. So I really love that. Okay, I love this passage as well on page 39. She made it clear that, quote, God did not intend for there to be slavery, racism, murder, hate, cancer, or death. Evil existed as evidenced by the serpent in the garden, but evil didn't have anything in its environment until Eve subjected herself to it by eating the fruit. What was done cannot be undone, but like Romans 8:28 details how God can use all things to give them back to good, and we know that all things work together for good of those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. It doesn't mean that all things start as good, but that all things can get back to good with work. That's what you're doing right now. You're learning how to allow God to work in your life until he's able to look at it and be reminded for most repeated phase in Genesis 1. God was that it was good. God saw that it was good. He's able to look at it and be reminded of the most repeated phrase in Genesis 1. God saw that and it was good. Listen, Romans 8:28 is my favorite scripture. And this just reminds you, no matter what may have been intended for evil to you by your enemy, God is going to use it for good. And that's why that sermon with Stephen Furtick, No Weapon, hit so hard, because I don't care what weapon someone may have. Their weapons might be sharper than mine, bigger than mine. But let me tell you, I serve a God who is bigger. I serve the God who made those weapons the enemy is using. And you telling me that he can't have control over that and power over that and give me power to defeat that enemy? You must be out your mind. So what you concerned about in your past and what you think you cannot do, let me tell you, God has a plan for you. You just have to take control of your mind and trust that God is going to do it. Can I? Oh, ha! Yes. That literally just came through me, y'all. That's not even in the outline. Okay? That's what, oh goodness. I received that, and I hope you receive that, okay? So let's get into some don'ts that is wasted energy, which is on page 41 through 42. She says, focus on willful moments when you open ourselves to take content that weakens our will to become whole. This is what you don't do. If you try to discover who you are after a breakup, then stalking the ex is only going to cause you more trauma. The same is true if you're trying to save money. Unsubscribe from marketing emails targeting your bank account. Oh, I had to do that, no lie. I literally had to unsubscribe and stop seeing the marketing emails from places. Because what I was doing, this a deal. But sis, I was still spending money, whether it was a deal or not. I may have saved $500, but I was still spending $400. Okay? So I had to do those things. I had to curate my space to support the things that I was trying to do. Okay? So I really love that. So let's focus on doing that, okay? All right, so let's get into, there's so much juicy stuff that is throughout chapter 3, Eyes Wide Open. But those are just some key points I wanted to give you all because I want us to stay on track with the pod. So I won't keep y'all too long. So I'm highly suggesting to get this book. And I feel like it's one of those books, kind of How Fierce My Homeboy, that I'll constantly reference to. Because as we grow and elevate, there might be things we're not able to process depending on what level we on. And I feel like this is one of those books that you can constantly go back and read and gain some new knowledge out of and keep you motivated when you get into those moments of distress, or feeling like you can't complete something, or fear creeps in, or confusion. Reading something like this will get you like, hey, I'm ready. I feel like this is one of those books that is going to become for me. So hopefully the same for you. So let's get into chapter 4, which is A War of Seed. And, yeah, let me get to the page. I'm tripping. Okay, here it is. I try to have stuff marked so I won't be like using my time to pause and look for the pages. But anyway, let's get into chapter 4, A War of Seed. This is gonna be good. So I'm gonna skip to page 64. Oh, excuse me. Let's get into chapter 4, A War of Seed. On page 64, it has a headline of God created us to produce. Yes, he did. God created us to produce. And when God was in the garden, he blessed creation, then told them to be fruitful and multiply. I don't think he was just talking about having sex and making babies. I believe that God was preparing humanity to live in a perpetual state of production where we are to take what God has given us, plant it, and allow it to produce over and over again. The serpent had a plan for the woman to be fruitful and multiply, but this time the fruit wouldn't make the world better. This time the fruit would separate humanity from God's vision. Oh, he be trying it. The moment that the woman ate from the tree, the serpent's idea was fruitful. But the moment God cursed the serpent in Genesis 3:15, that fruit was in jeopardy of no longer being able to multiply. Let me quickly break this down to you. It doesn't matter what seed has been fruitful in your life. Your family may have been producing the type of fruit that was caused by dysfunction for generations, but it's never too late to decide that the fruit can no longer multiply with you. Someone has to make the decision that there is some fruit that cannot remain on your watch. Girl, don't I always say, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. I am the person who's going to change my family generational curses. That is moi. Is that you? Is that you? You better be shaking your head. Sure, right, that's you, and it can be you. And if you doubting that it can't be, I need you to go pick up this book, and I need you to trust in God. Okay? So, yes, I really love that. And I like how she made it clear, like, we, as women, we're not here just to have sex and make babies, okay? We're here to change the atmosphere, okay? So I really love that. And I'm all about this in my life. For real, okay? This is so relatable in the goals that I have in my life. And I hope you listening is the same thing. Let's read another key point that hit me like, whoa. You know that song? It's like, whoa. It's like, whoa. I cannot think of the artist right now. But anyway, on page 66, it says, when you're aligned with who you're supposed to be in God, you have no need to hide your raw, naked vulnerability from Him. We only begin to hide when we no longer trust that we can be accepted in the truth of who we are. Listen, y'all. God already knows our mess and mess ups. God just wants us to keep it 100 with Him. I felt once I kept it 100 with God, that's when I made it easier to trust Him, because I was no longer hiding God nor myself. Think about when Eve and Adam was in the garden. And this is why I'm telling you, you got to go read the story. Pop open that Bible. They were hiding from Him. The thing is, God already knew the answer. So when He asked them, where are you and why are you hiding? He already knew. He just wanted them to trust Him enough to be 100 with Him. And we have to learn how to be 100 with Him. And if you can't keep it, that's why it's important to keep it 100 with yourself and 100 with God. So we can keep it 100 with everybody. But that's where it starts. It starts with you and your relationship with God. Listen to this. Instead, we dare to invite God into our ugly truth, even if we have to do it trembling in fear. God wants your anger, suspicion, depression, aggression, frustration, bitterness, laziness, procrastination. Child, God wants your truth. The longer we stay bound, the longer we're rendered ineffective in producing change in this world. Y'all, the world needs you. And to make that change, it has to be through your connection with God. Oh my goodness. And the fact is, He is the one person that wants all of your mess ups. That anger, suspicion, depression, aggression, frustration, bitterness, laziness, procrastination, He's willing to take all of that. You try to date somebody who ain't willing to put up with your aggy and nagginess, but God will. And He gonna use that to change the world. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, this book was giving me chills. I felt those words in my bones. Okay? So, listen, I know there's a lot going on, the war in Ukraine. But listen, y'all, that is not the only war that is happening. The other war is happening with you and me. Listen to this on page 71. It says, we are at war. Yes, this Bible text isn't only about the woman having hostility toward the serpent. It lets us know that the serpent is going to hate the woman. Okay? This is so good relation to Women's Month. You know why? Because when women recognize who she is, she inspires everyone in her to influence to do the same. Bam, bam. Look at the black woman. And I'm saying this because I'm black. I don't know what other race our other listeners are. But I'm just telling you, like, as a black woman, we set the tone, we set the trends. People follow us, they look up to us. Listen, okay? And let me tell you, not even just being a black woman, but women, period, Who runs the household? Your husband might be the head, but what? We the neck. We the neck. We controlling the head. Okay, we make things happen. We keep things organized. We keep things going. So shout out to my women. And this is why the serpent went for Eve first. And this is why he gonna try to come for us first. But we gotta be ready. Listen, and it quotes here on page 71. The most dangerous weapon on earth is a woman who recognizes that she has been anointed to unleash hostility in her adversity. Who you telling? Let me tell you right now, the enemy don't want to mess with Sade Nicole Hill. He don't want none of this smoke, because I'm ready to give it to him. Okay, this book just really helped me prepare. You know, this is exactly why I started this podcast, to prepare you and me for this war. Okay, because we're gonna take over the world. Who won the world? Girls. Hey. And it says here, we are preparing to rise up like an army to make sure that the immunity that God declared in Genesis 3:15 is not a one-way street. You know, this is not just a book you're holding. This is me swinging back at the enemy. I stood by my depressed, stressed, discouraged, attacked, and broken for far too long while doing nothing in return. When I finally got back to a place of believing that God still had a plan for my life, I took the only tool I had, a laptop, and began declaring to any woman who would hear it that they could come out of darkness too. This is the pod for me. I don't know what it is for you, but you have all the tools. You do. You have that phone, you have the internet. Let's use it for our good. Instead of using it to spread mess, use it to empower people. And this is why I get on this pod. This is why I had to shut that self-doubt down and be like, girl, no matter what, I don't care if one person is listening to this. I don't care if 0 people are listening to this. I am doing this because this is what God told me to do. And this is the tool he's using me to fight the weapon. And this is what is needed in the world. This is what he's asked of me to do. What has God asked of you to do? Do you know? And if you don't know, we're going to figure it out, okay? Man, the author ends this chapter so perfectly, The War of Seed. It says, we have to work our seed until our seed becomes fruits. And we're going to figure this out, sis. We're going to work this seed. We're going to fight this war with the tool within us, the tools that God has provided with us, even if it's just one tool. And if you're not sure what your tool is, the challenge of the week is going to help you figure out some things, okay? The challenge this week is to intentionally pray. If you don't know what your tool is, if you don't know what you should be doing, let's get into the presence of God in prayer. And on page 54, she gives us some examples of that. She gives us some examples on page 54 through 56. And it says, prayer is an opportunity to be reminded of who God is and to bring our hearts into alignment with his purpose and will. It's not just the moment we ask for what we need, but rather the opportunity to present ourselves fully. So she gave us a few different ways to pray. One could be an adoration. It's an opportunity to use it's an opportunity for us to recognize God's resume. You are wonderful. You are majestic. You are a healer. You're a provider. You're perfect in all your ways. You are all-knowing. Another way is confession. Prayer is the one place I can admit that I've been falling short, especially in comparison to who God is, seeking for forgiveness or complaining, doubting, bitterness, and frustration. This is a space which we will bring ourselves to God, or in gratitude. Despite all the things I've done that I have missed the mark in some way, God will still grant to me relationship, opportunities, and revelation. This is Thanksgiving. It's intentional moments of reflection that allow us to acknowledge God. Another one, intercessions. Intercessions is when my will and God's will begin to wrestle. I don't just ask God to give me what I like, but I ask God to qualify my desires in the first place. God, if this isn't your will, then take that desire away from me. Yes, okay? So the challenge this week, I need you to pray. That's intentionally pray. Okay, you can rewind and listen to these. I'll repost the challenge of the week with these under there to give you a guide. And if you want to share those aha moments with the crew, go to our Instagram and share, or you can email thecrewbookclub@gmail.com. I would love to congratulate you for intentionally praying and see what God does in your life. Okay, so let's get into what would the crew do? Hey! What would the crew do question is, how do you handle your spouse not being on the same level as you spiritually? Listen, these are good questions y'all are sending, and a lot of them are totally aligning up with what we're talking about and discussing. So I appreciate all the love. Listen, I've been here. Not saying that my husband does believe in God, but we've never been like on the same page spiritually. He really don't care for going to church like that. And you know, he works a lot too, which is understandable. And other things, right? I've been through that. I can relate to this question. What I had to learn was to fall back. It's not my job to convince people of who God is and what God is. It's only my responsibility to be a testimony to who God is in my life. And them seeing me pursue God hopefully motivates them to pursue God. Even when it came to tithing, I remember we used to have big brawl outs about me giving my money to tithe, my 10%. And my husband is a breadwinner. He takes care of a lot of things, you know. So my income is very minuscule to his in a sense. But he didn't understand it. And at times I used to try to force him to understand it, but then it just came to me like, chill. His time will come in his time. And all I can do is pray for them. So don't force it. All you can really do is pray that God guides you for the right words. Don't argue with them about it. That's pointless. It doesn't get anywhere, because then it's like, why would I want to pursue this if this is what it brings out of you? And so I've been there. So yeah, when handling your spouse is not on the same level spiritually, the only thing I can say is you continue to activate your relationship with Christ regularly and not force it onto them, and let them see how God moves in your life. And my husband really just started going to church with me this year, like willingly wanting to go. And not on, well, I'll go because you going. No, he was just like, you know what? I think I want to go to church. And that's how it's been working out. And we've been together. It'll be married 12 years this year. So take your time, pray for your spouse. And that's how I would suggest handling. If anybody else has a way of suggesting it, please go to the Crew Book Club IG and discuss. Or you can go to our YouTube channel as well. Okay, so that was what would the crew do? Ask advice. Now let me leave you guys. The episode did go a little longer, but it was just so much good stuff. And if you thought that was good, there's plenty of pages I had to skip over just to keep us in time. So let me give you the quote of the week. And the quote comes from our author, Sarah Jake Roberts. It says, controlling what we allow to take up space in our vision limits unnecessary exposure to the things that weaken our progress. Okay, so you know what time it is, crew. Let's take control of our own lives. Control. We gonna do it right. All right, thanks for tuning in with the Crew Book Club podcast. I will holler at y'all next week. Hey.